So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. We have our Sunday grid to get into. Shotzi has agreed to join me up here for, I don't know, command and control, observation, supervision, something like that. And it's just fine by me. Any moment you get to spend with her, that's a win-win for me. So, got that. And today we're having a fantastic Galdino 2023. This is a Montepulciano di Abruzzo. And it reminds me of my mutti, my mother, because she loves Montepulciano. And I was just thinking to myself, and this particular wine won a 97 at the European tastings. And I'm thinking, that's a pretty good score. And now I feel bad that she's not here to enjoy it with me. But on the nose, this one is just that Italian sun-blessed loveliness, right? And it's slightly tannic on the palate. And this one's cool. I've got it at about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a perfect serving temperature. And I'll show you. We had salmon, kind of a rosemary salmon, and omelets for dinner. It was so good, and this wine was perfect. So yes, I've already been cracking into it a bit as it goes, but this is a fantastic Galladino, and if you get an opportunity to grab one of these bottles, I think you will surely not be disappointed. As for me, with the exception of what Shotzi might want to drink of the bottle, I'm going to finish this bottle tonight. With that said, let's go ahead and hop into our grid and see what we got going for the day. I want to say that I got a couple of really nice comments over the last couple of days, and I thought, you know what? At the end of the solve, we'll probably go ahead and answer those. And Shotzi has certainly agreed to do that with me. Some of them are really, they were kind of profoundly poignant and really kind of hit home for both of us. So I thought, well, this might be something that we just need to share as a community. After all, it's kind of a village. It takes a village, all right? So let's hop on into that, right? But first, let's figure out what we got going with the grid. So it looks like we have bringing a +1 is going to be our title, theme, something, maybe a clue. And this is a co-construction, it looks like, by Ruth Bloomfield of Margolin. I just got to turn everything French. Margolin. Yeah, I like the French. So Ruth Bloomfield Margolin and Hannah Margolin. So I'm assuming we're related. Looking down at the column headline, wordplay here, it says, bringing a +1, Ruth Bloomfield Margolin and Hannah Margolin present a perfect collaboration and invite us all to crash. So, okay, Caitlin Lovinger, we will have to read that article. I don't ever want to read it ahead of time because then it gives away clues and stuff, and I like to be surprised when I open the crossword. So, there we have it. Let's go ahead and hop into our grid and see what we got today. Wow, that is a big puzzle. Okay, it hits me every time like it's the first time. It's just ginormous. But it looks like we have a large blank collider in Geneva, Switzerland, and I thought we were talking about CERN, but maybe this is the Large Hadron Collider. We were going to actually have one of those in Arlington, Texas, but some legislators thought it was a bad idea. So instead of Houston, we have a problem. It's Geneva. We have a problem. So, lax. 5 letters. I don't see any indication for contraction, but I guess that's really not mattering. Maybe it hasn't. I've got to check it immediately because I don't know. Trample. Well, we have, I wouldn't trod, but tread on would work. Do we have any idea what we got here? Off ingredient. How about DEET? So I'm thinking maybe tread on. I don't know. Maybe it could be something else. That's why we'll have to always check ourselves, but at least that's getting us in the right place. Let's check this O here. Real Lulu could be 1 or so. Then what do we got here? Unagi catcher would be an eeler. What a strange craft that would be. What do you do for a living? I'm an eeler. Well, what is an eeler again? I mean, because people just have to wonder, like, what is it? No, I catch eels. So, 1980s tennis champ Ivan Dendler, I can't remember. We'll have to figure that out. So we got gender, maybe a reveal party going on. I know our princess did one of those. So, well, we're in an inverted negative G dive with a MiG 28. Thanks, Goose. Oh, thanks, Joe. One of music's Allman Brothers. I think we're talking about Dwayne. And detest, maybe abhor. I'm a little nervous when I got my pretty girl next to me. I don't know. Survey option be none. Make a partner's beard presentable for all the photos. Okay, maybe a shave something. Okay, this might be fun. Ole, 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 ole. Got it. Now, family elder in El Salvador, and that would be an abuelo, me, or abuela, Shotzi. Nat King Cole. Got it. Okay, so I think we've got something jocular happening here. I'm rather excited about it. Manages, maybe handles. And okay, so is it Lindell? I'm trying to remember. Terms of a contract. Tool for a couple who intend to return everything and keep the money. Q before Q. How about LGBT? So what's broken for a record? Is it a law? You're going to get a record? I hope you know this is going to go down on your permanent record. Violet Films. Get one's ducks in a row. Perhaps if you irritate them, pit them against each other, you'll get your ducks in a row. Okay, little nobodies. What do you think? Maybe twerps? Pro bono? Bono? Okay, so I'm really getting pretty good at catching these things. A driver's warning. Maybe a horn? Or maybe four. Well, let's find out. Vintage racket. The question mark. So it's going to be snarky. What do we got? Fancy headpiece ornament. Okay. Well, you got to give me something to go on that's not going to be all in the theme. Much. F that comes right after A, B, C, and D. In the style of Allah. Absolutely. Mine find could be a load. So then what do we got here now? So maybe this is a fail. Okay, got it. I was thinking musical notes. Much. Okay. Additionally, maybe also. Far, perhaps? I think maybe far. I got the reading glasses I could have handed you. Absolutely. How about I sure do? Okay, so I think our vintage racket is wine fraud. Oh, that's classic.
That was a good clue.
That was good. That was nice. So, tool for a couple who intend to return everything and keep the money. I think this might be a grift registry. Keeping
That's
it.
good too.
This is a clever grid. Okay. The Margolin sisters. I have no idea. Mother-daughter? No idea. Cousins? Terms of a contract. Start of RuPaul's Drag Race Farewell. Probably going to be, it's typically going to be a sachet. Choral Arrangement Essentials. Risers? Oh, this is clever. Very clever. We got this is just not going to be one that's this isn't going to be just, phone in this Sunday. No, this is going to require some work here. So far, I don't see any rebuses, though, or maybe I'm missing that. Let's see. Terms of a contract may be legal ease. I'm almost certain it's Lendl, Ivan Lendl. And so legal ease, we'll try it. I don't know how I feel about it. If it's right, man, that sounds pretty cool. But if it's not, Pope who excommunicated Martin Luther, and I think that was Leo X. Fairly certain. Besides Leo first, Leo V, that probably wouldn't work, and we haven't had 50 of them. So, 1099 as an example, maybe a tax form. Yeah, tax form, exactly. I think. Away with you. Shoo. I've gotten that a time or two from hers truly. The H in homes, I guess we're talking about Lake Huron. So, homes is a fantastic little mnemonic device. If you ever used it, right? You've got Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior, right? It's kind of nice to have that little acronym there. Okay, so I think we got 4 here for golfers, golf drivers. Warning: 4. 3, 2, 1, earth below. Okay, let's see. So, fancy headpiece ornament. Is this going to be the feather of the bride?
That's what I was thinking.
I think you're right, Shotzi. Without change. Maybe steadily, or if that's the feather. Famous doctor who never practiced medicine. I think that would be Dr. Seuss. So, wallop could be toothpaste. Weight of an empty container would be tarry, and I guess we've got feather, and I think it's going to be of the bride. We got this wedding thing going on in here, and I'm feather of overly precious. Blank is to me to have seen what I have seen. Oh, Ophelia. So, woe is me. My hand starts itching and I have to raise this fist and say, Shakespeare majors unite! It was worth something, you naysayers. Okay, overly precious, twee? I don't know. I honestly don't know what we're looking for here.
I've heard that.
Spread the word. Well, I've never used the word. I've only ever seen it in a crossword, right? Maybe you've got a preach going on here. Young pigs are shoats. Again, something that, well, no, I might have actually used that. We had farmers in my family. Fancy headpiece ornament. Yeah, I'm going to go with Feather of the Bride. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to go ahead and call Minnesota for the incumbent. A response to winning a lottery, maybe. Filibuster components, how about speeches? And they all feel like they have to go longer than the last one to see a bunch of grown, so far, men. You didn't know they're wearing diapers, right? For their 25, 26 hour, marathons. I mean, I'm impressed.
Wendy Davis had a really long one.
Yes, that's right. That was in the Texas State Senate House, wasn't it?
Yep. Her cute little tennis shoes, her trainers.
She had her trainers on. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ted Cruz had trainers on too. But why wouldn't you, really? Colorful sequined jacket that the groom chose to wear. Make a quick visit. How about pop in? Pop in. Pop ib. All right. Okay. Do we have a come here? Jack on a non-fat diet would be Sprat. Shotzi and I eat the same stuff, right? We're both like 0 carb weirdos, I guess, right? You know, I mean, it is fun and it's healthy, but Jack Sprat, that whole nursery rhyme is a wonderful metaphor for us, though. It is tomato, tomato. It's just, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Hey, the sky is a beautiful blue today. Well, it looks like more of a violet, you know. Yeah, fine, got it. And I'm just like, sure, you're smarter than me anyway. I'll take it. So we got in-app purchases and without change could be steadily. And I think I said steadily. I think I guessed that. Did I guess it out loud or was that something I did in my head?
I think you did it in your head.
In my head?
I don't know.
Communication that goes without saying for short. Maybe American Sign Language. If not, I would have put ESP or ESP in there. It would have been kind of a fun thing too. Is it telepathy? Adjusts sights, maybe re-aims. Social climber's obsession. And when we got 6 letters, I'm going to go with status to start. And we will go and immediately start checking that though, or I'll forget. PlayStation Maker. I've got a PS5 in the other room, and along with an original Xbox. I don't ever turn it on. It's very, very slow, but it's cool to look at. A bushel or a pack. Could be a unit. And 6 on a phone. Well, good Lord, I don't have to do this whole exercise every time. So ABC's on 2. 3 would be DEF. No, thank you. We got MNO. Fantastic.
You already have 2 of them.
Exactly. That was a gift. Bagel option. Because I got a number keyboard here, but guess what? It doesn't have the letters on them, so it's not like I could just look down and cheat. No. Bagel option. Perhaps we're talking about the plane. So animals escort down the aisle. I'm going to assume we're looking for a beast man. I hope. I mean, because it's clever, and I won't have egg on my face if I was wrong, if I wouldn't have been wrong. Umpire's call. Aha!
Really clever.
That would have been an out, but now we've got to recall. We've got lets as well. We're talking tennis, and so that was the good stuff. Galore. I said a let, and I put in a lot. Maybe it would be a plenty.
I was waiting to see
if I would catch myself. That. Yeah. No, that was nice of you. One ensuring that each family can invite the same number of guests. So maybe a parody planner? I'm loving this. I hope that's it. Because, well, first of all, that's what I guessed. Surely I want it to be what I guessed, but no. Trojan War King would be Priam. You know, the other one, right? Second largest Portuguese-speaking country, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Angola. Febreze competitor, maybe Glade. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of confirmation bias. I wanted it to be Angola, so instead of thinking about what that could be, I mean Febreze, Glade, it's gotta be Glade. And now we can only hope that I didn't make a fool of myself. Like the cheese and fondue. So far, looking pretty good. Got that melted stuff there. Parent who foolishly wore stiletto heels to a garden event. Leo's movie studio would be MGM. Head over heels. How about madly? Gather a bushel or a peck, perhaps, maybe to glean. Gotta reap what you sow, boy. Motorsports Hall of Famer Bobby Rahal. Okay, and deny thy father. So saith Juliet. One looking for a free ride, no question marks. I'm just going to put a hitcher in. And now I'm going to go back over here for those of you who might be a little like me, a little OCD. You're like really bugged by that southwest corner. We're going to try to go ahead and solve it. Blue Ribbon Beer, that would be Pabst. And a great song by Lacey J. Dalton. They wrote him a beer drinking song, one we could all sing along. Songs for the good times, song for the bad times. We wrote a beer drinking, something like that. Wee Bit. Perhaps we're speaking about a Todd bit. A Hunger Games venue. Would you say that would be an arena? I've never seen one. I saw a part of one that had Woody Harrelson in it. Maybe that's all
like
of them. I don't know.
I like them.
I know that Shotzi likes them. So if I have a vampire question or anything to do with Katniss or werewolves, yeah, expert right here. She's got that down. I mean, I don't.
That's been a long time.
It's also the reason I have to stay in shape because I've never seen a vampire in a vampire movie with a dad bod, and that's what she likes the vampire. So
You're a dork.
I gotta be ripped all the time.
Oh, whatever.
Exactly.
Whatever.
What wispy, swirling lines from a cartoon pie may represent, maybe an aroma. And we have a popular 90-minute show, SNL, Amundsen, rolled. Very nice. Okay. All right. So FWIW. So for what it's worth, I think maybe this would be the it's. Since, well, let's see, one that's got 3 letters and got the 4, I don't know.
Mother.
For what it's worth. I don't know, maybe it's not. Taxis typically could be sedans. I'm just trying to read ahead in my head, but what...
To do with like the mother-in-law or something.
Yeah. So, parent who foolishly wore stiletto heels to a garden event. You clearly a garden event. That uses no kitten heels. How about no spikes? You're gonna be walking around on. Don't do it. Helpful word on a class reunion name tag. How about knee? In other words, my last name when we were dating. Now that I've married the millionaire cowboy astronaut guy. Loser. So maybe teeny weeny, yellow polka dot bikini. I'm really wondering what this mother in whatever. Mother in lawn?
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we just try that
Beast
one?
man,
Let's
best
try
man,
that. Absolutely.
mother-in-law, yes.
She would be in the lawn with stilettos too. Digs for data, maybe mines. And actually, that kind of is a double definition. Digs for data. Think about where data would live. You'd have a data mine. You mine for data. So, cool. You got a verb and a noun. Kind of fun. Disembodied assistant. Well, we're not going to say it out loud because she times 2 is sitting right there in front of us, and we don't want to. Well, mine's a she. Shotzi's is a he.
I don't even know because I don't use it really.
Oh. She dictates everything for me. It sets alarms, the whole thing. Yeah. Crocodile Hunter Steve. I guess this was Irwin. Character in The Crown. How about Princess Diana? Orthodox Jewish sect. Probably be the Hasidim. How one might feel when a crossword clue is tricky. How about misled? Making me come up with words like, that was just obtuse. Overly abstruse. It was circuitous and it was Herculean, and not to mention a Sisyphean task. And yeah, I can get pretty colorful with them, but that's almost always reserved for the Guardian Cryptic. If you've never done one of those, have fun.
I'll never.
Rugby scuffle, maybe a scrum. It's fun, but I tell you what, it will make your brain. When I walk away from the Guardian Cryptic, victorious or not, I'm like, I can't talk for 4 days. It's obsessed with, maybe set on. Aquafina's given name, and I think her name is Nora. Great rapper though. Hooved creatures that sound up to date. Maybe news. I always like to put the G in there, though. Good news. Is it Knopf or Knopf? Nobody knows. Who could do? Okay, so colorful sequin jacket that the groom chose to wear. Something, okay, lackluster, and perhaps dull? Maybe? I don't know. It seems like dull would be too simple an answer for this grid. Look, I did it. Well, we don't have enough room for et voila. So how about ta-da? Major
Something loud or something.
major lobby in DC. Okay, well, probably going to be the NRA or the NEA. I don't know. Year round is tires. How about all season? And I'm not in the Guardian, so I got to remember that you've got to type.
Go back up. There
Yeah,
you go.
thank you. This is why it's nice to have extra set of eyes. So, don't know. Something
lewd.
something loud. Colorful sequin jacket that the groom chose to wear.
I'm thinking of like the something borrowed, something blue, but lewd.
Yeah. No, it's not going to be dull. No, because one side of the Bosporus Strait would be Asia. Geography majors unite! But I wasn't one. But you're a geography nerd. True. So yeah, lackluster could be drab. And something bold? I don't know. Heap could be a pile. Wouldn't it be sad if I just bombed this? We had to like look up an answer, and it was the first time that you joined me here in the Solver studio and not in Le Café Christophe. So we got a pile.
I've been in many Solver studios with you, whether we were on camera or not.
This is true. Response to winning a lottery, and I'm thinking we're gonna go on a spree. And stayed home for dinner, maybe 8 in, you think? That's what we do an awful lot. And it's really not that we don't want to go to a restaurant, it's just that we have to fight with people. Like, we don't want any french fries, no bread, you save all that stuff, and then look at you like, what's wrong with you? This is your...
And we eat early before most restaurants open.
Yeah, no, we eat it
They
like...
don't open until 5.
We eat it like 3 or 4, sometimes at 2. We don't, let's get it over with, you know, don't like to be digesting in the middle of the night, you know. Milk source. Oh, how about soy? I don't know. Parent of shopping.com, and I'm fairly certain that's eBay, but I don't know. But we're going to be having to check ourselves here right away, so let's just go ahead and do just that. Airport alternative to EWR, and that would be LaGuardia. Starch yielding palm, and that would be a sago palm, I guess is what we're shooting for. Boy, you talk about something that you don't really talk much about. On Down the Road, song from the Wiz. He's on down the road. We love musicals. A lot. Where inner truth is seen clearly. Community at the end of the line. Oh, an excerpt. Okay. That's fun. So, diamonds for one. This would be a suit. Okay. How about an x-ray lab? That is great. Where their inner truth is seen clearly. That's fun if it's correct. You know, it really is one of these grids that makes you think, is it correct? I mean, you know, dinosaur from our imagination. Is this the one that loves you and you love me? Or what the fuck, gosh. Well, I learned from all of my time in England and doing the Guardian Cryptic that a Barney is a spat, an argument. So's an argy-bargy. Oh, comes trouble, Barney rubble, something like that. Yeah. A suffix with Caesar, maybe Caesarean. Caboose. How about en derrière? And lay low. Oh, I hope that's not to inter. I don't know why I don't want it to be, but it's fine. I mean, it's a fact of life or lack of life, right? You know, milk source could be dairy. And I think we have an inter. All right, fantastic. Well, that's going to set the mood for the rest of the grid. Thank goodness we had the happy way going all the way around this counterclockwise ginormous grid. Thin sounding could be tinny. Tinny. Reeves of the Matrix. Wow, yeah, gosh. I imagine that's a pretty tough clue. mean, I would imagine there's a lot of young people that don't really necessarily know who the actor Keanu Reeves is. But my impression of him in every one of his movies is this, whoa, whoa. And then kind of sounds like Al Pacino. So, hoo-ah! You know, that guy, right? So, but Keanu Reeves, whoa. That's what he does. He's famous for that.
He practices these at midnight.
Oh, every midnight, yeah. So, always constantly working around the clock. I sleep once a week. I sleep once a week for 1 hour in a chair with my eyes open. Pina colada vessel. How about a coconut? God, don't forget the lime in the coconut. All right. Increment in an elephant's weight. Oh, yeah. They are pretty heavy creatures, aren't they? Cousin of a chimp. So maybe an orang? I don't know. That's what it could line up to be, though. Let's check ourselves here, though. Cause of many headaches while planning the big day. Is this like wedding dress? Wedding duress? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let's try it. I feel like it's a little bit more spunky to just throw it in there and then check it out. Pancake with applesauce or sour cream. Oi, very delicious. Latkes. And I can't even eat them anymore. My Oma made wonderful latkes in knishes. And just amazing little pancakes. And she'd make the latke soup and stuff. And it was so good. But my princess learned how to make them. And I can't even eat them though, so. Menu heading. What do you think? Sides? We want to guess?
Sure.
Sides. Sides it is.
Why not?
Sides it is. When at my last duty station in the United States Army, when I was a young captain, we would eat every Saturday morning at Taco Cabana there in Fort Bliss. Well, we lived at Fort Bliss. We would drive into El Paso. Fort Bliss is inside El Paso, but technically we lived on Fort Bliss. We would drive off the post and into El Paso, and we'd drive to Taco Cabana, and we would do the crossword, and we would eat like we were still young and our bodies could handle that stuff. Metabolism was great back then, right? Sometimes I'd run there and run home, it was only, 8 miles. Not a problem. Here, you want some help? I was in the Army. I can handle it. Spasms. I don't know. Lazy day attire for short. How about PJs? Why don't we just call it Walmart shopping attire? Spasms could be jerks. Oh, that dude, the new guy? Yeah, he's a real spasm. Luau accessory. How about a lay? Batter's position over home plate. Poet hired to write the couple's vows in flowery verse. Do we have a cash bard? Love this. Love it. Cash bard, please be right. Oh, that would be awesome if it was. Mudslide component. Yes, Kahlua lines up. I don't have any Kahlua, and I wouldn't mind having a mudslide this evening. Barnyard strutter. How about a cock? And marine predator, the one fish on the planet that scares the living bejesus out of me, is an orca. Loops in and brief CCs. I mean, I've learned that, if a shark is coming up on you, even a great white, you can just punch it in the nose, and you got a pretty good shot that it's gonna be like, dude, I was just coming to eat you. What was that all about? And then he gets all, butthurt and swims away, right? I don't think an orca's gonna care if he punched it in the nose. I don't even know how you could get around that ginormous mouth. And they're scary things. They're scary. When I say I freak out, I don't freak out. I just don't get in the ocean. It's pretty much the answer. Declare. I don't know. Avow, aver. We don't know. We need to talk. Lady Anne at the beginning of Richard III. Oh, Shakespeare majors unite. She was a widow. And responded to an alarm, maybe awoke, arose. I don't know. It's either way. A vowel would give me awoke, a ver would make me arose, and a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet.
Either way, it ends with an E, though.
So I think make a partner's beard presentable for all the photos is to shave the date. Instead of save the date. This is fabulous. Oh, what a wonderful
really
grid.
good.
I'm hoping this is a mother-daughter thing, but if you're sisters, that's awesome too. But it would just be nice to see that. I'm assuming that the level, with the clues being what they are, that mom's probably a late boomer or an early Gen Xer like me. And, you know, but it's just fabulous, right? So I don't know. I mean, I've already got it in my head that it's a mother and daughter. I'm watching them be twins or something. I have no idea. Bishop's deputy would be a vicar. Okay. Well, I think it is. I mean, I don't know. I grew up Catholic, and I recognize my Jewishness. But I'm just saying, kind of got inundated with Catholicism. It is called a confirmation. Declare. So I think we got an aver. So now we're going to a rose. And I bet this is Rick. Okay, it is Rick Okasik. Very nice. So we need to talk. How about a word? And unless we got something fat-fingered, which we shouldn't, considering we've got, you know, super checker here. Famous doctor who never practiced medicine. How about Dr. Dre and the maker of my favorite speaker on the planet? Beats. So Dr. Dre, how did we do, Bob? This was just
Good job.
a phenomenal puzzle. First of all, I mean, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. So first of all, just to have this coming in as the Large Hadron Collider, I've solved for CERN before, CERN. It's in there an awful lot, and that is its own Swiss acronym. It's really cool, and it's not too far from the Omega Watch Museum, where I made the pilgrimage 2 years ago. It's about time to go back. Hint, hint.
It's not.
It's not. I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't want to go. But this was all freaking amazing. I love when we use Spanish pronouns, nouns, anything that can take a masculine or a feminine appellative. I think it's great because it always kind of keeps you on your toes. So that's really a cool thing. Love, shave the date, wedding duress, grift registry, and even X-ray lab. Not in the theme, but it was just funny. The X-ray lab, seeing that. Feather of the bride, something bold, and a parody planner. And really, is there a better image than a mother-in-law, right? Because they chose to wear stilettos to a garden event. Just a fabulous grid all the way around. And I can't wait to read about this grid and find out who Ruth Bloomfield Margolin and Hannah Margolin are. And again, if I make your name French, it's a sign of respect because I am a Francophile and a Francophone. Important stuff to me. But beautiful grid. Loved it here. I loved having my Shotzi next to me. Let's go ahead and bring down our Bannière d'Adji. And there we go. So, fantastic. Now, let's go ahead and let's address a note that we got in the... Go, my love. Screen clack away. Clack, clack, clack.
3.
3. 4 deliberate. And 5 fast. Thank you. So, if you remember Casey Kasem and American Top 40, and we're back. So, yeah, sorry, I had to kind of stop one screen and stop that whole recording of the grid so we could record this screen for us specifically. I just want to say, typically after I finish a grid, I then process, edit, get it ready to upload, and that's a good hour per video. It's not an easy process. So during the week, I'm in here 3 hours. It's a pretty good part-time job. But you don't really ask about when you're getting paid. You just show up and just go to work. But so that's when I always have a moment to then answer and reply to each one of the comments that come through, because they're vital to us and we both love them. But the other morning, Shotzi reads them ahead of me, and then she'll say something like, "Oh, oh my, you got to read this. And I'm like, oh, well, I was going to read it this afternoon before I start answering them on the grid. Oh, you need to read this now. And it's so, because something comes along that could be poignant, or it could be, I don't know.
Sometimes things come along that you need time to process.
Yeah.
About how you're going to handle it, how you're going to talk about it, what you're going to do.
Exactly. So today's grid was a good one. So I opened up the article about a mother and daughter. So good guess, whatever. But it was just cool to see that it was a mother and a daughter that constructed this, and they had a really cool story that went along with that. And that's a really nice feature of what we do, right? You know, I mean, the constructors speak, get a chance to hear. Well, one of our avid community members and extremely helpful on both the Guardian Cryptic, wow, smart, and the New York Times, right? LT sent this the other day. This is an excerpt here. We'll pull this up and you can see that October day in lab was my last with Arjun, as he died the next day. In the following weeks, his absence was so strong it became a presence itself. And just kind of, if you read this story, and this was after this was Friday's grid, was the constructor was Adrian Baik, and so I didn't get around to reading that, but LT sent this to me in the comments, and it moved both Shotzi and I a great deal, because it reminded us that it's probably a good idea for us to pay attention to what the constructors have to say. They've accomplished something incredible.
Yeah.
I know how hard this is. So they did something amazing, and they went into the world's premier crossword venue. And what is their story? And Adrian Baik's story was one of, I'm so proud to have done this. But, I lost my partner, I lost my friend, I lost my inspiration, but he remained my inspiration, and so on and so forth. It was just such a lovely thing to share.
Yeah. He had faith in her. And I think that's a big thing.
When someone has faith in you. Yeah. So
because she wasn't telling anybody what she was doing.
Which sounds a lot like her. Doesn't want anybody to know in case she decides she can't or won't do it.
Now, I just thought it was nice that she stepped back in and she did it, and that she felt like his presence was with her.
No.
Sorry.
It's quite all right, sweetheart. I'm glad you have that, but I've got a handkerchief here with my initials on them. I am a gentleman.
I thought about that when I grabbed this wash rag.
No, it was very moving, and it's a wonderful story, and it's something that I would have missed because I don't always take the time to read up on the constructor notes, and I blush to say that. So.
And what's worse is I didn't even know they did them. So now it's nice to have their backstory.
Yeah, it is. Well, and again, it's the same thing that we got today when we got to read about the mother and daughter. And guess what? There was a recent wedding, right? And they just kind of played off of that. And one of the cute notes in today's constructor notes was that when her daughter would go off to camp in the summertime, they had been doing the crosswords together, every day or every weekend or what have you. And then when she would go off to summer camp, then her mother would send the crosswords in the mail and then pre-fill in the ones that she knew her daughter would know, right? And it's just kind of built this thing. So there's a wonderful story in all of these for us to share. But yesterday, following the grid, sometime in the middle of the night while we were asleep, we got a message here from Dara. And I think it's one of those things. It wasn't in an email, it was in the comments, and so I feel like, okay, well, this is public enough, and this might be something that we need to all kind of talk about. Maybe this is something that interests you, and if it doesn't, then, that's why we did the grid first, right? But
you can exit the room. Yeah,
you can watch the next thing that you watch. But this is a very real scenario. We didn't discuss this. We don't rehearse. Well, does this look rehearsed?
Obviously,
we don't. The point is that I'll say what my piece is on it, and then Shotzi will say the right thing to say about it, which is how it usually works out. But essentially, I think in a nutshell, they're expecting their first child soon, as you can read through this and you can see. But having lost, having had a miscarriage before, it's kind of maybe dulled the senses. Maybe at the same time, it's concentrated the mind on just how fragile life is. And I don't do well on the topic. Children, I love mine, but I don't think I've ever cared for kids much. I'm not a kid person. I don't have a dog. I don't, whatever. That's just stuff to clean up. I've always just been whatever. But when I saw my son for the first time, and then my princess, and then my Sparky, it just changes, right? And parenthood is different, I think, for mothers and for fathers. When my little girls would say "daddy," then that's all it had to be. And then, my wallet's just like, just take it. And my son could say, "Hey, Dad, I really need..." You really need a job is what you need, So you just go mow a yard or something. I'm 8 years old. Well, I don't know. Break leaves. I mean, it was just different because, he was a boy. I mean, I wasn't a jerk like that. But I'm just saying, though, it's different with little girls. But I guess going on now, almost 5 years, we lost our youngest, Sparky. Isabella, she had a car accident. It was just gone like that. 20 years old, yeah. And, it's just one of those things. I was in Germany, Jerry, it was during COVID. Jerry was working on in an intensive care somewhere in Texas where they needed her. And it was just an awful process. We were on the phone with each other for hours and hours. I had to get an emergency visa because my passport had expired here, and it was a temporary passport that I had to get here because the one that I had to get to Germany got stolen the day before I had to be here. It was just unbelievable. And everything I had to jump through. Everybody pulled so many different strings to help me get back to Texas and do whatever, but I'm just saying there's something that's so unnatural about, interring a child. So it was just, and it's something that I haven't quite gotten over. I mean, it's not like we just talk about it all the time, but when we do talk now, we're usually laughing at some of the funny, goofy things that kid would do. And there was a lot of funny, goofy things that she did, but yeah, at the end of the day, it sets with you. Does it make me think that I wish I hadn't had ever had a child, then I won't have to suffer that loss? Yeah, the thought might have crossed my mind on many occasions. However, the time that I had was pretty incredible, and it's just part of the whole circle. I mean, we're all gonna no one's getting out of this one alive, right? And so that's a hard thing, but I understand where you're coming from, Dara. It can be terrifying, but I promise you, no matter what, the child is, if you look into that child's eyes and you touch those little fingers, the little bitty tiny nails, everything's just so perfect and so human. It makes it worth it, I guess. I mean, it's a tough one.
It does.
Please.
I think that to start off, you were saying in this, the question was basically saying they're a generation below us.
Millennial, I'm assuming.
We were young and stupid. I was 19, he was 18 when we had our son. We were so young and stupid, I don't think it crossed our mind to even think about this comment. We were just trying to make it through every day. Whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. Every day was, a new day that was a new worry. We were so very fortunate because we had family and his grandmother, and they helped us a lot. But we weren't in a headspace to even think about that question. And
which in a way speaks volumes for Dara and your girlfriend, because guess what? I mean, I'm assuming you're in your 30s, like our kids, and now it's a good time to start a family, not when you're 18 and
dumb.
Yeah, dumb. But now you can afford to ask those questions. Like, should we really bring a child into this economy? It's like the beginning of the movie Idiocracy, right? Then they wind up the smart people never have any children because it just wasn't going to work, and then Harold died of a heart. I mean, yeah, I know, right? But then guess what? The people who probably shouldn't be are having kids galore, right? So
the concern is very valid. Christopher's response as to whether he wished it had happened at all is a very honest response, and it's not one that people would usually say out loud, because there are a lot of thoughts that go in your head that you think, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that, because that's society, it's the way we are. But losing a kid is difficult, so you have valid concerns, but you can't let losing a child or having a miscarriage keep you from the joy that comes with that.
No question. And as two people who are 50% qualified to even answer this, I'm married to a nurse. That helps. And she's pretty good at working with kids. Pretty good at all of that stuff. Pretty good at patient care and understanding. I'm a healthcare administrator and an artist and a former ad exec. I am so woefully unqualified to answer any of this, but as the comment read to me, you're clearly a Gen Xer, you're a little bit older, you've been around the block a time or two, you're now in your 50s, maybe you've got some advice. And you know what, to all of the young couples out there, yeah, we probably do. We live a pretty good life. There's no complaints here.
It definitely reframes how you think about daily living, and you don't want to take anything for granted, and you want to enjoy your time, and it's very easy. It would be easy to get bogged down in it, but we know that's not what Bella would have wanted. I mean, her nickname was Sparky. There was a reason for that. And she was beautiful, but she would not want us to live and have some joy. So.
And she hangs out on my liquor and tobacco cabinet, which is where she probably would have liked to be. I mean, she sits right there. Right there where all of the good pipe tobacco and good cognac and scotch is. So, anyway, tough question.
Very hard.
But something.
Sat on it a lot today.
Yeah, both of us in our own way. But again,
I was like,
it's a tough one.
This is hard this early.
It
is.
Because,
we don't want to be Debbie Downers at all. And
so before we start the grid, let's talk about losing a child. I mean, no, we'll wait until the very end here. But again, I just thought it was a good time to bring that up. And again, I think we are a community. This is a community. My part-time job is hanging out in a community of very caring, thoughtful, intelligent, intellectually gifted people. I mean,
and funny.
We've had 2 trolls.
Supportive.
In almost 2 years, we've had 2 trolls. It's been an amazing thing. And the community's growing, and it makes me very proud. But again, at the end of the day, I just thought this was something that we could maybe just have a chat about. And if you've got something to add, or a similar experience, or a completely different experience, comments, suggestions, whatever. I mean, we're available for weddings and bar mitzvahs. If you need us.
I said that my thing is, like, my advice is unconditional love, and find some joy every single day. And when you have your child, find joy every single day, even when you're exhausted. And as the child grows and they do things that you wouldn't do or that you don't approve of, or they do their hair funky. I shaved my head. My mom acted like she didn't even notice it and asked if I wanted to go get my picture done for the church directory. Which, I'm like, I wasn't going to get a rise out of my mom, I can tell you that. But unconditional love and joy is unconditional love. That's always love.
Oh, yeah. And I had a punk rock band in a mohawk. I had a mohawk.
It's hard, but you do it.
And somehow Mutti stuck around. She didn't act like it wasn't there, though. Wasn't quite like Mrs. Webb. But I had to wear a hat a lot, but it was fun. No, I mean, it is. Just don't let the what could be cause paralysis. You've got to live. I remember that, right? And
being aware of it.
But there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, the idea of having kids, that this could happen, absolutely. I mean, it hits you.
It's the fragility of human nature. I mean,
just a couple of years ago, a couple of Heisman candidates were in a car accident. It seemed like a pretty minor one, killed both of them. I mean, it doesn't matter how strong you are, or whatever, it's life. It's fragile, and it's very unlikely that we're even here. So if you look at if you just look at it, what are the odds that we even somehow made it? I mean, the universe is trying to kill us. The Earth is trying to kill us regularly. I mean, it's a tense environment, but yet we trudge on. We tread on, to borrow from today's grid. And honestly, it's just unbelievable that we were even born to begin with. And the one thing that we all have in common is that we have the same DNA, we have the same blood, we breathe the same oxygen. And the world could probably be a much, much better place if everybody just had a chance to go up for a couple of days into the International Space Station and just see that it's just an Earth. That the clouds and the thunder that are rolling over Japan, or maybe making it to Africa, and then and up to Europe, depending on the currents, and
there's just
no borders up there, right? It's just one big Earth, and I share 95% of my DNA, if not more, that we don't know of yet, with a common house plant. I mean, we're all connected, and it would just be nice if we could all just get along, right? That would be pretty great. But nevertheless, that would be our advice. Don't let analysis paralysis get you, right? Live that life.
And it's okay to grieve what you lose. Also,
oh, it is, and I haven't even stopped.
Be sure that you do. Yeah,
I've never even stopped.
I don't know that it ever will.
No, it does not.
I tell people, because I've worked in behavioral health, that take that time that you need. They can bring a suitcase and visit for a little while, but don't let it move in, because it's just too hard to get out of it.
Speaking of letting trouble move in, that's what she did with me 34 years ago, and I don't know. She's speaking from experience. So, with that,
unconditional love and joy.
Unconditional love and joy, by all means. And
Focus
remember,
on those things.
A penny saved is a penny earned. Never eat spinach with a stranger. And if you've got it to loan, you've got it to give. Just those are good things to live by. But never eat spinach, especially with a stranger. And
what is our never been poor?
Yeah, we may not have always had money, but we were never poor. Not one day of our lives have we been poor. We've had no money, but we were never poor. And that's a pretty good outlook too, I think. So, with that, until we see you next time, I guess we'll squeeze the Benny Ardadu into here somewhere. Maybe right here. Just put it up here. I think we can probably fit it there. Until we see you on the morrow for the Monday Grid and the Monday Guardian Cryptic. It just gives me shudders thinking about that coming already. Weekend's over. So, Wir wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auch ein schönes Wochenende. Tschüss, Servus, Grüß Gott, ciao, Cin-Cin, au revoir. Que tengas una linda días. Be well out there, and we will see you on the morrow. Just stay safe, be well out there, and try to be nice to strangers if you can help it.
Just be nice.